Whoa! 2014 was awesome! And since this is a video of my top 10 films of 2014, I would like to talk to you guys about what I thought was my best films of 2014. And this one took me a really long time. I'm like, wait, what's this gonna be? Is this on my list? I'm like losing my mind. I was like going crazy at first, and this was so difficult and challenging for me. But I really like films, to be honest. Yeah, I never made a film about like films that I like so far this year and the past years. I know I haven't done my top 10 list of 2013 and 12 films because I was gonna get right to that, but I got so caught up on movies that I want to talk about. And this is just my top 10 list, and if there's some films that you like and if it's on this list, then you might think it's on your list. But if it's not all the films that you expect that you like from 2014 and it's not on my list, then you're just not, you don't probably like it. But you'll like my list. If there's some films on my list, then you'll like it. I mean, what I'm saying is, you'll like my list, but this is just my list. My list of films of 2014. And there's other films that you probably have seen last year and you liked. And they'll be on this list after you watch this. Alright, but just to be clear, these posters on the wall right here, these are films that have been on my top 10 list. Well, one of them is not on it, but let me just get right down to the point. Number 10 is The Maze Runner. Now, I really didn't know if this was going to be on my top 10 list. I was just trying to see if this was going to be on it, because it was just like I love sci-fi, and it's not really that exciting. Like, if there was a sappy sci-fi film that hasn't been done well. But this one, it did really do well. And I actually have the DVD right here with me, The Maze Runner. And I actually read the book, and I don't know which one is to like, is the book or the movie. Because after a book to film adaptation, you're like, is this supposed to be on my top 10 list? I don't even know. Anyway, I had a good time with Maze Runner. It was good. It was action-packed. And there was some points I was like, wait, what was this all about? Because then you would just kind of get it. Because I got it. My dad got it. Because, we liked it. And that's what we liked. Alright, number 9. Number 9 is Big Hero 6. And Big Hero 6. Big Hero 6 is another movie about action with superheroes, and this movie is just based on this bad, well, it's not bad. It was just a comic book series of Marvel that didn't really do well for sales, that's what I've heard. And when the movie came out, it got a lot more better reviews, critical acclaim, a good box office success. But the whole movie, it just really catches you. Like, wait, what's this? Like, the movie's all about it, focusing on these two characters. Like, there's Hero, which is like he's a super genius who builds stuff. Like, he's like a kid Tony Stark. And then there's this robot buddy. It turns out to be his buddy after his brother's death. Ooh, spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! I didn't mean to say that. It's just I just didn't know why that came up with me. But anyway, Big Hero 6 was a good time, and I loved it. Not as much as I loved anything else on my top 10 list. Okay, number 8 is Mockingjay Part 1. And now, I like this movie, and since I love The Hunger Games, although I haven't read the books, I don't really read books a lot. But since I've started to read stuff like Maze Runner and Divergent, which is on my wall, I just had to see it because I loved it, and there's nothing much for me to say about why I liked it so much. I would have liked it before if it was on my top 5 list, because there was other films on this list that had to make the cut. But Mockingjay was pretty fun, and I'm like excited for part 2, because I know it's going to have a lot of action. Okay, let me get right down to the 7. 7 is Divergent, and that's on my poster here. I love Divergent. I love the movie. I have the book, but I haven't even got a chance to read it yet. Although I am reading Insurgent, and I can't wait to see that. Number 6, Gone Girl. Gone Girl, this was going to be on my top 10 list, even if I was going to move it around. But until I made this video, it had to make the cut. Because I love David Fincher. Sometimes I hate Ben Affleck, but I kind of like his movies, even if he's bad at some points. But he is good when he's directing. When he's acting, it's overall 50-50 if I don't really like it. But the next up is Interstellar. Interstellar, it was another good sci-fi film. I love a good sci-fi film. I love Christopher Nolan. He's one of my favorite directors, and he did a pretty outstanding job with a good story, good cast, and like pretty good characters. And it's like, I was in there for like, I was like, I don't know why I'm in here. It's like boring. But then it gets really exciting, because I really liked Interstellar. It's not much of it on my top 5 list. My top 5 list, that's the films that I like throughout 2014. Number 4, it is the Lego Movie. And this was a movie that I personally love. And I still like Legos, and you kind of see that I got a little bit of a Legos going on here. But I don't know why it's on here. Every time I'm doing something, it's on my table. Just can't stop collecting Legos. I love Legos, and I love the Lego Movie. It would have been on my top 2 list, but it kind of went down because there were other good films like Boyhood, and I didn't really like that much. Although it did have some interesting stuff going on, like just the same cast for 12 years. You can't get them to change. You see them change overall. And I didn't know if it was going to be on my top list of like my number 1 pick, because I really like a movie with action and emotion, but this one kind of lacked its emotion. But I do have to give the director credit. He did a pretty good job, and he had pretty good writing, and it took him 12 years to make it. And I would say he would get an Oscar for Best Director and Best Writing, because it took him 12 years to make, and that's pretty impressive in cinema. But I didn't see it, although I snuck it, just because I saw a movie that was bad to me. Alright, number 10. I'm number 2. Number 2 is Guardians of the Galaxy. And I love Marvel. I love superheroes. I love a good superhero team movie that has a lot of action and some humor in between. But this one had a lot of humor. I was cracking up. I don't even know why I would like it. Maybe it was that Rocket Raccoon guy, but I didn't really like that Groot guy. I do have the Lego guys, just because I like collecting Legos, even if it's superhero themed. But I didn't really like Groot as much as I liked Rocket Raccoon. But they kept some features in this comic book series into the movie, but they didn't mention Peter Quill being in NASA. They just mentioned him as a kid being abducted by Ravagers. We do hear his dad a bit, but even if you guys haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy, I would think you will want to see this, because this is another good step in Marvel. Marvel, it's off to a good start, and I can't wait for the next superhero team, which is Avengers 2. I love Marvel so far. They're doing a pretty good job. Alright, number 1, and this was a movie that was coming in 2015, which I don't even know why, because it came out in 2014 towards the end of the year, and this one was good. A lot of good reviews, and I have to agree with Super B, which means extremely good, and I liked it. American Sniper. Now this was a film that was like big. It was like the best film of 2014, and I absolutely loved it. It was the top one on my pick. My number one pick. My number one pick. And if it's my number one pick, then that means it's my best. American Sniper was the best. I loved it. I loved Bradley Cooper, and I loved Clint Eastwood. I didn't really like Million Dollar Baby, but this movie was a lot more better than Million Dollar Baby. Although I haven't watched the full film of Unforgiven. So, I think it could win some awards, but I don't know about Best Picture wise, because sometimes my predictions of Best Picture, they're not always good. But since there's other movies that are kind of like inventive and great storytelling on the just picks of Oscars, they're pretty good. But since 2014 is an amazing year of cinema, it's going to be tough to see which one's going to be on top. Because I haven't seen Birdman, but I heard much about it. And I do want to see that, but I didn't see as much films of 2014 than I did. Because I never had time. So that's my top 10 list. And there are some honorable mentions like Grand Budapest Hotel, and I like that. And I didn't know if I was going to love it as much as I did. But I seen it on HBO. And the other ones were How to Train Your Dragon 2, 22 Jump Street, which were pretty good sequels. And then there was Exodus, Gods and Kings. Exodus, Gods and Kings. It's a different take of the whole book of Exodus, and it's a less longer take of the story of the Ten Commandments. And there was other ones, Fault in Our Stars, and If I Stay. And those were movies that are like sad in between. I like a good sad movie, but this wasn't really much of a good pick. I mean, I don't know if it was going to be on my top 10 list. And then there was Hobbit 3, and it's also up there as well. So those are my honorable mentions, and those are my favorite films of 2014. So let me know in the comments about which one of your films did you like from 2014. I'll get right to those, and I'm gonna make some more videos about movies, because I love movies as much as anything else. Well, maybe Legos, but maybe I just love movies. So just let me know in the comments, and I'll be getting right back to you. I'll be making some more videos by then.